every time.
And we're back. We're coming at you live from Fort Lauderdale. We're at the Women's International Boxing Hall of Fame, the inaugural event. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, joining me right now is a 2014 inductee. Please welcome Barbara Buttrick. Barbara, I appreciate you coming on. You're a pioneer of the sport. Before we talk about your career, what's your fresh thoughts about this event and what it means for women's boxing? And you know, I'm going to throw another part of that because I feel here that there's like this collective success story going on around us with all of the women. It seems like no one really went up there and accepted an award for themselves. They seem like they accepted it for women's boxing in general. What's your thoughts?
Yes, I think that's true. With it being so difficult for us to get started, I mean, these girls probably didn't experience what I did back in the late 40s and the early 50s when, you know, no promoter would look at you and that, yeah, I went on the boxing booth at the fairgrounds, the same as Polly Burns.
and John L. Sullivan and all those guys, that's how they used to make their money at the boxing booth.
Did, yes. And I really enjoyed traveling with them, with the boxing booths, actually. It was fun. But it's nice now that the girls, I mean, at first then they got accepted into the gyms, and Bonnie has been running the Golden Gloves for years, and that develops the girls. Now and when they got into the Olympics, well, that was, you know, that gave them some, you know, recognition, which they hadn't had before, and so they're moving forward in all those directions in the amateurs. So it definitely, as the amateurs develop, so will the professionals, you know.
You know, Lucia Riker was given a lot of credit to Clarissa Shields, who eventually showed up here. And, you know, like I said before, you know, it was like a collective, you know, everybody gave her a standing ovation. It seems like, you know, all women fighters feel like they got a piece of that gold. Yeah. What's your thoughts on it being such a pioneer, you know, like you said, in the era that you fought? I mean, there was only a handful of female fighters, right?
That's right. Yes, well, Clarissa, I mean, I was at the London Olympics. They asked me to speak about how it was in my day on each of the shows. So I met Clarissa. We took a picture together in London, and I was so happy to see her here. And we've just taken a picture with her gold medal, which is great. Yeah. And my thoughts is that, yes, I mean, that's really something. And she really hasn't got the recognition in this country for getting the gold medal. I mean, back in my hometown in England, we had one young man, he won a gold medal, and you know, everybody was all over him and that, whereas she came back here and I kept saying, you know, what's happened with Clarissa, because I expected to see a lot about her, you know, right. And why that was, I don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll change that. Now, with all of the difficulties that you had during your career, and you know, stuff that you saw, and the stumbling blocks with women in boxing, did you think that, you know, today we would be sitting here and that we're kind of not only in an event where we're honoring you know, great female fighters, but also we're kind of in a resurgence for women's boxing? It seems to be picking up steam. Do you think it's sooner than you thought or later than you thought?
Well, I mean, back in the early years, it's something I didn't think would ever happen. You know, I was really surprised. But no, it's not. It's about the right time. It's not sooner than I thought, really. Once I saw it happening, you know, I figured, you know, it was on a roll then. You know, it would happen.
one last question. As we look ahead, and we're anticipating, continued growth here with the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame, and of course, thanks to Sue Fox. How do you see this event growing? Do you see it picking up steam? Do you see it getting into bigger and better places? Not that there's anything wrong with this particular facility, but I mean, do you see it growing and, getting bigger and better quicker, or do you think it's going to take some time?
I think it'll take a few years. I mean, like the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, which I was inducted into in 2010, it still doesn't have its own building or anything. It just meets in different hotels every year. They have a meeting, and so I can see 2 or 3 years at least that will be the way it is with the women's. I doubt whether they'll get around to, organized enough to have a permanent Hall of Fame like the Men's International Boxing Hall of Fame up in Canastota. I mean, they've got buildings and all kinds of things going on. It's really established, and that's what this really needs, but it is going to take a few years, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara, I appreciate you taking time. I know you got some stuff to do. We wish you all the luck in the world, and I hope I get to see you again next year, and we will be doing another interview, and we can say what changed from last year to this year.
Right.
So I appreciate your time, Barbara Buttrick, a 2014 International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. Congratulations. We're going to take a short break.